Greetings to all viewers. This is Professor Ankit Singh. In my last lecture, we had discussed factors affecting highway geometric design. Now we will move to the next topic, that is the actual geometric elements which we need to design. Okay, which are cross-sectional elements under which we have pavement surface characteristics which include friction, unevenness and light reflecting characteristics, then cross slope or camber, width of pavement, width of roadway, right of way. Then under the next main headings, side distance considerations. Okay, under side distance we have a few classifications like stopping side distance, safe overtaking side distance and side distance at uncontrolled intersections. Then later on we have horizontal alignment, under which we will design the design speed, super elevation and horizontal curves. Then vertical alignment, under which we have gradients and vertical curves and other intersection elements. So firstly let us look at a cross section of a roadway. Okay, yeah, this is better. Okay, the path or pavement on which the vehicles travel. Okay, this one, this is known as carriageway. Okay, CW here, so this is known as carriageway, and the alternately provided surface on both sides of the carriageway is known as this portion, it is known as shoulder. Okay, the shoulder is provided in order to support the carriageway, to provide stability to the carriageway, and also it acts as emergency lane in case of any accidents or breakdown of the vehicle. Okay, then when we add the width of carriageway to the shoulders on both sides, what we get is roadway width. Okay, this is the road width. Okay, and since here our road is constructed in an embankment, the top width would be the formation level or FW. Okay, so this top width is formation level. Then moving to the sides, we have road margin. The road margin includes the road slope in case of embankment, the berm, longitudinal drains if provided, and if there are any cycle tracks or footpaths provided, then they are also included under the road margin. Then we have three boundary lines. Okay, the first one would be road boundary, second is building line, and third is control line. Okay, these are also known as border controls. Okay, we'll discuss all these elements in detail later on. For now, let us try to understand that these border controls, there are three types of border controls. Okay, road boundary, building line and control line. The road boundary indicates the distance up to which road can be extended in the future. Okay, the building line indicates the distance up to which any construction may be carried out. Okay, from the outer side of the road. Okay, not from the inner side, from the outer side any building construction can be carried out only up till this line. Okay, then control line is the distance up to which the road authorities have a control over this area or this land. Okay, now the first cross-sectional element that we need to discuss is pavement surface characteristics, and under which we have three topics that we need to discuss, which is friction, unevenness and light reflecting characteristics. Okay, the pavement surface depends on the pavement type, which is decided based on the availability of materials and funds, volume and composition of traffic, subgrade and climatic conditions, construction facilities and cost considerations. Okay, so the pavement surface which we are going to decide, okay, it might be a bituminous surface, it might be a rigid or cement concrete surface, or it may be a gravel road, or it may be a WBM road, So okay, so these surfaces are decided based on these factors. Okay, the important surface characteristics of the pavement are friction, unevenness and light reflecting characteristics. Okay, so all these three characteristics are important for movement of traffic over the road surface. Now how are they important? Let us see. First, friction. Okay, the friction between vehicle tire and pavement surface is one of the factors determining the operating speed and the distance requirements in stopping and accelerating the vehicles. So as we all know, friction is required for actual movement of the wheels on the pavement, okay, and also for stopping and accelerating. The coefficient of friction or skid resistance offered by the pavement surface under under various driving and surface conditions is important with reference to the safety. Okay, so friction, it is very important when you consider a smooth road surface or road surface during rainy conditions or oil spill or sand spill, gravel spill, anything like that. Okay, now under friction we have two types of conditions. You guys might have heard about skidding and slipping. Okay, there are two terms, one is skid and one is slip. Let us try to understand what is the difference between these two terms. Okay, skid occurs when they slide without revolving or when the wheels partially revolve. When the brakes are applied, the wheel are locked partially or fully and if vehicle moves forward. Okay, so what is a skid? When the brakes are applied during movement and although the wheels of the vehicle do not revolve, they are packed and still the vehicle moves forward. Okay, then that forward movement is due to skid. Okay, the condition when the revolution of wheels is stopped but the vehicle still moves forward, then that condition is known as skid. Okay, while a vehicle negotiates a horizontal curve, if the centrifugal force is greater than the lateral friction and gravity due to super elevation or if the centrifugal force is greater than the lateral friction and the gravity due to super elevation, then lateral skidding takes place. Okay, here in this first case, when the vehicle was moving longitudinally or in a straight direction and the brakes were applied and still the vehicle moved forward, then this type of skid was longitudinal skid. And when the vehicle negotiates on a horizontal curve, due to the centrifugal force or the outward force that is applied on the vehicle, if the friction value is not counteracted by the super elevation, okay, then there are chances of lateral skidding or a skid towards the outer side of the curve. Okay, so basically there are two types of skids, longitudinal skid and lateral skid. The lateral skid is considered dangerous as the vehicle goes out of the control leading to an accident. Okay, so lateral skid is considered more dangerous as compared to longitudinal skid. Okay, the next type of condition is slip. Okay, so what is a slip now? Slip occurs when a vehicle wheel revolves more than the corresponding longitudinal movement along the roads. Okay, so here what happens is the revolution of the wheel is more but the movement in the longitudinal direction is less. Then this condition is slip. In the earlier condition it was the reverse. Okay, here the revolution was less and the movement was more. In the slip condition the revolution is more but the movement of the vehicle forward is less. Slipping usually occurs in the driving wheel of a vehicle when the vehicle rapidly accelerates from stationary position or from slow speed on pavement surface which is either slippery and wet or when the road surface is loose with mud. Okay, so you might have experienced this type of condition, okay, while driving. when the pavement surface is either wet or there is loose mud on the surface, then what happens is your wheel slips on the pavement surface. There is no good contact established between the wheel surface and the pavement surface. So what happens is, although your wheel revolves, your vehicle doesn't move forward. Okay, so that condition would be slip. Now, what are the factors that affect friction? So there are few factors which affect the friction. They are type of pavement. Okay, if the pavement might be rigid or pavement might be flexible. Under flexible we have either bituminous or tar pavements. Okay, here in the case of rigid pavements, since they are made of cement concrete, in order to provide friction we need to cut lateral grooves on the surface of the pavement. But in the case of bituminous or flexible pavements, there is grain present. Okay, here this is an example of a bituminous road. Here you can see grains. Okay, so these offer good friction. Next is macro texture of the pavement surface. Okay, when you consider macro texture, when you zoom in the surface of the pavement, okay, you can see, there's no diagram here for that, but you can see crests and troughs. Okay, if the crests and troughs are more, then it would offer better friction. Condition of the pavement, namely wet or dry, smoothened or rough, oil spilled, mud or dry sand on the pavement. Okay, so friction also depends on these conditions. If the pavement is wet, then the friction would be less. If it is smooth, then the friction would be less. If there is mud or oil spilled on the top of the pavement, then the friction would be less. Okay, type and condition of tire, new or worn out. So it is obvious that new tires would provide better friction than worn out tires. What happens with worn out tires is the surface becomes smooth, but this condition also depends on whether the pavement is dry or wet. See, what happens is, here in this figure you can see there's a wheel with has treads on it. Okay, so in the wet condition what happens is, when the vehicle moves over the pavement surface, the water gets trapped in between these treads and there is proper contact established between the tire surface and the pavement surface. But if the tire is worn out, okay, and there are no visible treads over here, then the water or oil would form a layer in between the tire surface and the pavement surface. Okay, then there would be chances of slip and skid. Next is speed of the vehicle. Okay, as the speed of the vehicle increases, the friction value will decrease. Okay, at a stopped condition the friction value would be maximum. Extent of brake efficiency. Okay, if the braking efficiency is 100%, then the friction would be highest in that case. But we do not ideally design any 100% efficient braking system. Okay, if we design it for 100% and if the vehicle stops as we apply the brakes within milliseconds, then there are chances of over toppling of the vehicle. Okay, if the vehicle is moving at a higher speed, for example 80 to 100 kmph, and if there is 100% brake efficiency, so as soon as you apply the brakes, if the vehicle stops, then there is chances that the vehicle will skid in the longitudinal direction, but there are more chances that the vehicle might over topple. Okay, and this might be fatal. So what we do is we keep 50% brake efficiency during our design. Load and tire pressure. Okay, load is the weight applied to the wheel through the vehicle. Okay, what is the load on the vehicle? That. And tire pressure is the air pressure. Okay, if there is more air pressure or efficient air pressure, then the contact surface would be good. Okay, if there is higher air pressure, then there are chances that the contact surface would be less with the pavement, because then the tire would form a curve shape. Okay, the tire surface would be curvilinear, then the contact surface would be less. Okay, and if the tire pressure is very less, then there would be more surface contact between the pavement and the tire. Okay, but this is also not desired, hence we need efficient tire pressure inside the tire. We need efficient air pressure inside the tire. Next is temperature of the tire and pavement. Okay, when the temperature of the tire, which is made out of rubber, or the pavement, which is made out of either bitumen or cement concrete. So if the temperature of bitumen rises, then there is chances that the bitumen might melt down and become slippery. Okay, so we need ideal temperature there, and also the temperature of the tire should not be more, because there are chances of melting of rubber. Okay, that would decrease the friction. Then the type of skid, as we saw earlier, the type of skid there are two types. One is longitudinal skid and the other one is lateral skid. Okay, so these are the factors which affect friction. The type of aggregate used and the mixed design of pavement surface course affects the skid resistance of the pavement. Okay, the type of aggregate also will affect, and the mixed design also will affect. Okay, if the type of aggregate is rounded, okay, and if the mixed design is not proper, if there are similar sized aggregates or stones used, then the friction offered would be less. Okay, what we need is angular aggregates and a good mixed design of pavement surface. Coefficient of friction reduces considerably when the pavement surface is smooth or wet. Already discussed. The coefficient of friction also decreases slightly with increase in the temperature and tire pressure and load. Okay, this also has been discussed. With increase in temperature, there are chances of melting of bitumen and also the rubber in the tire. Okay, smooth and worn out tires offer higher friction factors on dry pavement than new tires with treads because of the large area of contact. Okay, this also has been discussed. See, the smooth or worn out tires, okay, after the tires are worn out, the treads are lost. Okay, then after the treads are lost, of course there would be better surface contact between the tire and the pavement if the pavement is dry. Okay, but if the pavement is wet due to rainy conditions, then what would happen is a thin layer of water would be formed in between the pavement and the tire. Then there would be chances of slip and skid. Hence we need new or treaded tires for movement during raining conditions. Okay, but on wet pavements, new tires with good treads give higher friction than worn out tires. Okay, for calculation of stopping distance, the longitudinal friction coefficient values of 0.35 to 0.4 have been recommended by the IRC. Okay, so Indian Road Congress recommends longitudinal friction values of 0.35 to 0.4. Okay, now this value varies with speed. Okay, so whenever we design stopping distance in my later on lectures, we would use values of longitudinal friction coefficient varying from 0.35 to 0.4. Okay, here for lower speeds the value would be high, and for higher speeds the value would be low. Okay, in case of horizontal curve design, the IRC has recommended the lateral coefficient of friction of 0.15. So lateral coefficient of friction we need to keep a constant of 0.15, but for longitudinal friction it will depend on speed. There is a table given by IRC, we'll discuss that later on. Okay, and for longitudinal friction the values will vary from 0.35 to 0.4. Okay, skid resistance. Skid resistance is the resistance offered to skid. Okay, one of the common causes of road accidents is skidding of fast moving vehicles. The problem has been getting aggravated as the vehicle speeds have been increasing over the years, and the pavements are designed to provide a smooth riding surface. Okay, since the speeds of the vehicles have been increasing, okay, with better technology, and also the pavement surface are getting smooth. Okay, means we are trying to make the pavement surface smooth to provide better comfort. Okay, so this has increased the chances of skid resistance. If vehicle skids, the driver loses control of the vehicle, resulting in accidents. Such accidents involve overturning and entail a high percentage of fatalities and serious injuries. Okay, the minimum desirable values of skid resistance recommended for Indian roads are given below. Okay, so what is the minimum skid resistance value which we desire? Serviceability indicator, there are level 1, 2 and 3, good, average and acceptable. Okay, skid resistance number which is obtained by using a device or a tool which is known as pendulum skid resistance tester. Okay, using that we can obtain the skid number. Okay, so for a level 1 road, for a road to be categorized under level 1 or good, the skid number should be minimum 50. Okay, and for level 2 it is 40, for level 3 it is 35. Okay, so the next pavement characteristic is pavement unevenness. Higher operating speeds are possible on even pavement surfaces with less undulations than on uneven and poor surface. Okay, so in order to obtain higher operating speeds, what we want is we want a smooth pavement. Okay, with no undulations. Undulations here mean ripples. Okay, here in this figure you can see there are undulations on the road in the longitudinal direction. It is not smooth. Okay, pavement unevenness also affects VOC, comfort and safety. Okay, fuel consumption and wear and tear of tires and other moving parts increase with increase in pavement unevenness. Okay, so the pavement unevenness will affect VOC, that is vehicle operation cost. Okay, if the pavement surface is uneven, then there might be damage caused to the vehicle, okay, due to more vibrations, and it will also affect the comfort and the safety of the road user. Fuel consumption would be also high, and there would be wear and tear in tires and other moving parts in the vehicle. Uneven surface also increases fatigue and accidents. The pavement surface condition is commonly measured by using equipment called a bump integrator. In terms of unevenness index, which is the cumulative measure of vertical undulations of the pavement surface recorded per unit horizontal length of the road. Okay, so these undulations would be in the form of crests and troughs. Okay, okay. Then what we can do is, using a device or an equipment called bump integrator, what we do is we count the number of undulations. Okay, and based on those number of undulations, we categorize that road pavement. Now unevenness index is measured in centimeter per kilometer. Okay, and also you need to know this, that for any undulation to be considered as a bump, or for any undulation to be considered or counted using our pump integrator, the size or height of the undulation should be a minimum of 1 centimeter. Okay, if the height of the crest or trough is lesser than 1 centimeter, then that would not be counted while we use the pump integrator. Okay, so good pavement surface would record less than 250 centimeters per kilometer for a speed of 100 kilometer per hour. Okay, so if you use this device and run it over a pavement surface which is required to be tested, when you run it over for 1 kilometer, if the bumps which it records is less than 250, okay, then that surface is a good pavement surface. Okay, and the same if it records 350 centimeters, okay, then it is a comfortable surface. If it records more than that, then we need to provide repairs. Factors which cause unevenness or undulations are, okay, so what are the factors which cause these undulations? Inadequate or improper compaction of the fill, subgrade and pavement layers. Okay, so there are layers, different layers in a road. Okay, we'll discuss and study about these layers in detail later on, but if there is improper compaction among these layers, okay, then there are chances of formation of these ripples or undulations. Okay, unscientific construction practices including the use of boulder stones and bricks as soling cores over loose subgrade soil. Okay, so we need to provide aggregates or stones or bricks as per design. Okay, if there is unscientific construction practices, then again there are chances that these undulations get formed. Use of inferior pavement materials. All the pavement materials should be tested before use, and only if they are of quality and of minimum standards as required for pavement construction, then we need to use them for pavement construction. Okay, improper surface and subsurface drainage. If there is problem in drainage, okay, if the water table is at a higher level than what it should be for road construction and no proper measures have been taken care, then there are chances of swelling and shrinkage in the subgrade layers, which can also lead to undulations on the road surface. Use of improper construction machinery. Okay, so the construction machinery which is to be used for road construction should be proper or designated and checked before actual use. Okay, poor maintenance practices, localized failures due to combination of different causes. Okay, so these are a few factors which affect the or which cause the undulations on a road surface. Okay, so here you can see that undulation, the type of undulation here. This is a trough and this is a crest. Okay, the next pavement surface characteristic to be discussed is light reflecting characteristics. We'll discuss this in my next lecture. Thank you.